Hey.
Hi, good morning everybody. Welcome to the flame working demo. I'm just doing a little minute of preparation here, sticking some short rods together so I can use them again later. And then I'll wait for that to cool. And we'll go ahead and start the demo. This morning I'm going to make a little glass rabbit. Starting out with a big open flame, that's why we call this flame working. And I'm going to be using solid rods of Pyrex glass. Pyrex is the brand name of this glass. So the type of glass is called borosilicate. And borosilicate is what's called a hard glass. That means it's very resilient and also that it melts at a higher temperature than some other types of glass. So we'll be getting this glass up close to around 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
And at that temperature, the borosilicate glass will be liquid, almost like honey. Then at slightly lower temperatures, this glass will firm up a little bit. It'll still be soft, but it will be not quite so liquid. And that's a kind of unique characteristic of glass, which allows us to do a lot of pretty controlled sculpting with it. Because I can heat the glass until it's very, very soft, shape it, and then as long as I can hold it in that position until it cools a little bit, it will hold that position. And then once it's down to room temperature, of course, it will be solid. So it's a very unique material, very versatile. And almost everything that we do with glass comes from, the process is developed really from the characteristics of the glass itself. The fact that it will flow when it's hot, the fact that it's transparent, and that it will become more solid when it's cooler. It's very stretchable when it's hot. You can actually stretch it out and make a very thin thread of glass. And it is also not a good transmitter of heat. So even though that glass is getting up close to 3,000 degrees, you can see my hand is only about 6 inches away from there. And the part of the glass that I'm holding on to is actually not hot at all. So that means with this process, I'm able to work very close to the glass. And so this is a process that lends itself really well to fine detail work. So that little teardrop is going to be the rabbit's body, and I'm heating up some glass now for the legs. You're going to see a really bright yellow flare coming from the glass. That is called soda flare, and that's because it's coming from one of the ingredients in the glass, which is called soda ash. So if you take a look through this filter that's on the front of the booth there while I'm working, you're going to see what I'm seeing through my eyeglasses. That's called a didymium filter, and that lets us see through the soda flare. The flare isn't so bright that it would damage your vision, but it's hard to see through. It actually makes things look a little cloudy. And so that filter allows us to see the details and have a little more control over the glass. So we'll give the rabbit some feet here. Now I'm working with the rabbit sort of sideways and upside down at this point, and there are a couple of reasons why you'll see me turning this round and round. One of them has to do with the direction of the heat. That heat is actually being forced out away from the torch.
Are you picture
and so
or
to
video?
capture the heat in just the positions that I want, I need to turn the figure around in different
Picture
directions.
or video? Video.
And then gravity is pulling the soft glass down toward the table. So depending on the shape I want, I've got to always be taking that into account. And so sometimes you'll be working sideways, sometimes upside down. Eventually we'll get this rabbit turned right side up again. Okay, that's the bottom part of the body. Next thing I want to do is work on the head, and you can see that's where the handle's attached right now. So I've got to remove that handle. That means I'm going to put a new handle on the bottom here. Now when I'm inside this booth, I won't be able to hear you if you have questions, but I will be coming out of the booth at the end of the demo, so I would be delighted to answer any questions you have at that point.
Oh, that was cool.
That is.
So now I'm going to rotate that glass in the flame again and get the heat evenly distributed, gathering up some glass for the top part of the rabbit's body. And you can see the glass is softening up as I heat it, flowing into that round shape. And I'm watching the color of the glow of heat in the glass to tell me when it's soft enough to stretch. I want to have a very even color so that when I pull this, it will stretch and make a nice, smooth, tapered shape. And then I can cut that glass with the flame. And you can see there's quite a difference in temperature right now between the head and the body. And with standard glass, with regular window glass, that would be a really stressful situation for the glass. It would be very likely to break. But this Pyrex, since it resists thermal shock, is very versatile for this type of work. We'll give him some front legs here.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
And he needs a nose. I'm going to start turning the flame down at this point because for the smaller details I don't need quite as much heat. And then some ears. So we can tell it's a rabbit and not a gopher. This hot glass will only make a permanent bond with other hot glass. So I'm heating some glass right there for the ear. Then I'm going to heat a spot on its head. And as both surfaces are hot, the glass will actually flow together there. And we call that a hot seal. And that's the most stable kind of connection you can make in glass. So one of the first things you learn when you're working on this process is just when and where to get the heat into the glass. You don't want to be heating up the whole thing or the glass just turns back into a ball. But you want to make sure there's pretty extreme heat at certain positions and then less heat other places. So it's a little bit of a dance with the glass. You have to always be keeping an eye on what it's doing and responding to it. We'll flatten this ear a little bit. Alright, so there's our little rabbit. I've got one more technical step to do now, which is called flame annealing. And you can see that that flame, that flame annealing flame was a yellow flame rather than a blue one. That yellow flame is cooler than the blue one. So I'm not trying to melt the glass there, I'm actually just evening out the heat. When glass is heated, it swells up, and when it cools, it shrinks. And the uneven shrinking and swelling causes the glass to develop stress. And stress will make the glass more fragile. So we even out the temperature at the end. That helps to relieve some of the stress, make it more stable. I will be putting this in an annealing oven at the end of the day, but because it's Pyrex, it can withstand a little more stress than other standard types of glass. And so that means we can keep our figurines out for people to look at, because they're so small, it's nice to be able to get up close to see them. So there's our little rabbit. Thank you very much for watching. And if you have questions, I will be coming out of the booth to answer them for you. Have a great day at the museum, and thanks for coming.